delivery. Why are we even discussing it?
Delivery to the end user is really important. And one of the good things that we have with the Microsoft technology set is that we've got multiple methods of actually delivering BI information to the business user at the point which they actually need it. So we've got primarily three delivery type mechanisms or broad categories of delivery that we can utilize in the technology set. The first one is we've got reporting services and all the good things around report builder and so forth. We've got Excel and Excel services. And lastly, we've got dashboards, which are essentially composites of the various types of technologies for deploying business intelligence solutions.
So we've got choices.
Yes.
Okay? So we have three different technology mechanisms, all of the pros and cons which we'll discuss as we go along. But what sort of guides a person to decide which front end to use?
Largely it's based on usage profile.
All right.
So for example, if we start at the top, so we're starting at the dashboard level, typically that would be the executive layer within the organization. They want to see high level numbers, the ability to drill down into those numbers, rich graphing, rich charting, but still being able to get down to the detail. However, we've also got the analyst or the analytical type users who need more of an ad hoc type query tool. Call them the power users or your information workers. And that's where Excel comes in, because you can slice, you can dice, you can analyze in a very dynamic fashion and still publish that into the intranet type environment for broader base usage. And then on your lowest level, you've got reporting services where you need very structured type reports to deliver out to people who need to consume information rather than analyze. So it's highly structured, but you can deploy it to a much wider set of people in a very concise and consistent fashion. Well, maybe what I should do is throw some of the stuff back to you. Yeah, I know that you've been doing a lot of work through the entire tool stack, but if we look at reporting services, what are some of the key considerations that we need to bear in mind when we're building reporting services type BI deployments?
Well, reporting services is an interesting animal. We've been playing with it since about beta 1, if I remember correctly. It wasn't even a beta 1. It had a code name, which was so far back in the day, about 6 years now. And I've already seen the reporting services product grow. So when we're discussing reporting services today, I'm keeping it in the context of SQL Server 2008. And there's some really exciting features inside of RS that really allow end users not just to get the canned reports, but to take those canned reports and possibly do a little bit more with them. So you mentioned the distribution side of things. Firstly, reporting services is for those people that need a starting point. Okay, so you pre-can, I hate to use the word pre-can, we create a structured report. Better way to say it. So we structure our reports, which are then sent off. Either people come in via the web page to collect those reports online, or those reports, there's a distribution mechanism inside of reporting services, data-driven subscriptions, which allow us to take those reports and send them out to a bulk list of people. So your consideration really when it comes to reporting services is to decide how you want those people to come in and access that information. For those people that we're just pushing reports to, we can sort of dust our hands off when we say, fine, there's your report. They're normally done in versions, or normally done in export formats, things like PDF, things like Excel. I don't think we're ever going to really get away with Excel. And Word as well is now supported in RS 2008. So we can really cover a large percentage of our user base through those structured reports being distributed out to them. For those people that then can come in and access reports online, RS 2008 has this new tool called the Report Builder, significant improvement over the previous version, which allows users, of course with the correct access, to take pre-existing reports and potentially make those subtle changes that drive the IT department crazy. I think we've all had those situations where a user has said, look, I'd like a report. So we go off into our little black hole and we develop it. We go back and we show them and they say, oh, I'd like the background to be green, please, and not yellow. And we're like, oh, okay. So we go back and we have this cycle. What Report Builder now allows us to do is to pre-publish a report and allow a user themselves to change those kinds of things without being a burden on your development team.
Yes.
So reporting services are a really nice tool that we can use. So that covers, I always like to think of users as a bit of a triangle.
Yes.
That'll cover, say, 70–80% of our users. So let's take it a level up. Let's go to those analysts. And Ryan, what is it about Excel? Because Excel's a relatively new front end for slicing and dicing information from a pure play BI point of view. What's changed in the more recent versions of Office to allow this to happen?
Well, going back a little bit, is one of the key areas that we have that's a limitation with your reporting services type structures, that you still need some level of technicality to physically build these reports.
Yeah.
Now, Excel is basically your BI tool of choice. Yeah, everything lands up in Excel. Reporting services lands up in Excel. Whatever you do lands up in Excel. So why not make Excel the BI tool?
Makes
so
sense.
what we have now is Excel since 2003, 2007, and in 2010 has become more and more BI centric. So starting with very basic type pivot tables that you had in Excel 2003, we've got much richer ability to interact with business intelligence data inside the Excel 2007 type products, and even more so in the 2010 product. So the ability to create very structured reports off of BI sets, to create dashboards and scorecards within Excel. So using the Excel charting, using some of the conditional formatting that you have inside of Excel, we can build these really compelling reports, dashboards, and even very comprehensive management packs through the Excel toolset, and then even take those and publish them through Excel services onto the web.
Sorry, Ron, just for a second. So aren't we creating yet another version of Excel hell? What is it inside of our design and our architecture that's going to stop that happening?
That's actually a very good point. The reason we've got Excel hell is because you've got multiple versions of potentially the same data just spread across the enterprise. So you've got formulas, you've got data sets, you've got all sorts of types of data sitting out in the organization. The benefit that you have of using Excel as a front-end tool is that your data is still within a data warehouse or a managed area.
Yeah.
So you don't have this proliferation of all these sets of data sitting all over the show. What you're doing is you're presenting data in the relevant fashion rather than trying to construct new data in every single Excel spreadsheet. And the general IT infrastructure guys are also happy about this, because you're not sending huge Excel spreadsheets across the wire. What you're doing is you're just connecting to the relevant data at the point in time that you actually need it.
So what we're saying is any user, and I'm sure all those super users out there that are familiar with Excel pivot tables, could be using Excel as a front end on top of cubes or data warehouses to create their reports.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really gives you that compelling front end, and a front end that everyone is used to and everyone knows.
You're right, they exported into it anyway.
Exactly. So moving on from there, you've been spending a significant amount of time recently on dashboarding. What are dashboards? How do we utilize dashboards, and what are the technologies that support us in the ability to present dashboards?
Well, I guess if you were to summarize a dashboard quite quickly, is a lot of our IT work is involved in creating reports, whether it be Excel or reporting service or whatever the case, where we spend a lot of time deriving detail for someone else. That someone else will then look at the detail and derive an answer from that. So they'll say, look, our company is doing good or bad, or not so bad. Hopefully good. And really, the way I see dashboards is we're almost starting with the end in mind. So a dashboard presents you your end results. It actually tells you, look, my company are doing great or not so great, and allows you to look at those key KPIs inside of the business at a very high level view. So the technology that drives this is currently Performance Point Server 2007. Yes. In the next couple of months will be merged with SharePoint. So in 2010, I'm looking forward to seeing it in action, as it's going to become a new service inside of SharePoint Enterprise called Performance Point Services. So that's the technology that surrounds it. And you mentioned it earlier, actually, is what the dashboard allows you to do is to create not only that high-level view as a scorecard, but also integrate into existing investments. So work we've already done in RS, work we've already done in Excel, can stay there. We can just reference that from a dashboard. So dashboard is really, again, the end in mind. It's that pinnacle starting point where we can start and reference all those existing reports in the organization. Yeah. And something important to bear in mind when building dashboards is they are user-specific. So your CEO dashboard will absolutely have a slightly different flavor to the CIO dashboard because they're worried about different things. But the dashboarding engine allows for this type of functionality.